This is a wireless lavalier microphone. I received this from Amazon as a product to review for free through the Vine Voices program. They do not have any control over my review, and they have not paid me for it. So here we have the main receiver unit, and you can see it has a USB-C connector for Android cell phones, a lightning connector for the older iPhones, and a regular 3.5mm audio input plug for pretty much everything else. It also has two of these microphones. And each microphone has a USB-C port for charging. And this guy here has a USB-C port for charging. It also has an audio jack here. And it comes with a single little earbud. I'm assuming that's for monitoring. And it includes two, but not three, USB-C to USB-A charging cables, as well as a, looks like an extender cable, a little hard shell case, a bag, and a small instruction manual. This device into my Ubuntu Linux laptop, enumerated as a USB audio device, mono, not stereo, and I hit record in Audacity and it is recording my audio. So I will be using the video from this camera and the audio that's being recorded right now on that laptop and play that back to you. Now, one thing you should know is that this guy is an audio device, and when it's plugged in, playback sound by default will go out through it. So if I hit play here, this guy will play, but it's not coming out of my speaker, and it won't come out of my speaker until I unplug this guy here. So there you can hear it out of the speaker through this camera microphone. I did notice when I first started recording on the computer there was just a little bit of crack. So I plugged this device into my Ubuntu Linux laptop, enumerated as a, and I'm not sure if that was some type of noise reduction loop working and locking into the settings for gain it wanted, or if that had something to do with my clothing moving around. It was just at the very beginning, and then it went away, and I never heard it again after that. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Alright, this guy here is designed to plug into a microphone port. If you have a combination port that requires 4 connectors, this adapter cable will allow you to plug this into your combo headphone mic port and then use it to do recording. So with that in there, I can now record audio through this port here. The volume is up pretty high there, and hopefully the audio sounds pretty good. I'm going to switch back to the camera microphone now. Alright, and as I did before, while this is plugged into your headphone port, you can't play this back because you can't hear it, but when you unplug this port here, then it comes out of the laptop speakers. Volume is up pretty high there, and hopefully the audio sounds. So this is a Sony camera, and it has a microphone port here. But my door is getting in the way a little bit. Let me try turning this over. So if I put it that way, I can use it, but I'd better have a tripod because I can't set this on the ground just like it is now. Alright, I'm recording through this camera. Starting now, and so my audio should be coming through this guy and into that camera there. And hopefully you will be able to hear me after I play it back. And this is basically a similar test, except I'm using this extension cable to go from this guy to the camera so that, I could put this mounted somewhere else if I wanted to. I don't know if that is going to be compatible with the multi-port extension cable. So let's hit record on the camera. So this guy here with the standard microphone plug worked just fine in my Sony camera. I tried using the extension cable to be able to mount it somewhere other than just sticking out of the side of the camera. And with this extension cable, that does not work because it's a 4-port thing here. It's basically to plug into a combination headphone microphone jack, and that's not one of those combination jacks. So if you want an extension cable, you can buy a separate 3.5 extension cable, but it can't be one of these 4 connector ones. It has to be just like a 3 connector one, like a standard aux cable. So I tested plugging an earphone in this little guy here, and that basically is a tiny monitor so you can hear what is being said through the wireless microphones. This headphone here is not the highest quality. It's a little tinny, but you can tell, you can tell what people are saying and that the audio is coming through correctly. I'm assuming you could probably replace this with your own headphone or monitor earphones if you want some better quality. Alright, I'm taking a little walk here. I'm actually holding both wireless microphones to test how they both work in pairs. So I have my right hand microphone I'm using now, and then I've switched over to the left hand microphone. So there's 2 microphones here, they both transmit at the same time, and I am outdoors getting pretty far away from the camera. I think, this is probably about as far as you want to do. Also, a little bit of wind. So yeah, I walked pretty far away, but I think the usable range is about 50 feet max. After I got farther away from that, you could start to hear crackling and popping, and the radio signal just wasn't fully reliable. Out here. So here's both microphones. There's the left-hand microphone. There's the right-hand microphone. So hopefully you're still hearing me. I am using both microphones handheld about 3 inches away from my mouth right now. I'm going to move one microphone far away from my mouth at arm's reach, about 3 feet away. The other microphone's still close to my mouth, so this is the right-hand microphone I'm using right now. Now I'm going to switch these 2 microphones. So I have the left-hand microphone pointing at my mouth. The right-hand microphone's about 3 feet away, pointing away. Now I'm going to bring both microphones back, and I'm talking into both of them. Now with 2 of these, they're not stereo, so it's not like you have a left and a right mic, and you can't separate people's voices by channel that way, so it mixes the 2 of these into both channels. If you hold them close to one another and you're talking into them, you get kind of a little bit of an echo because I think the audio is delayed slightly from one to the other. Okay, I am using both microphones handheld about 3 inches away from my mouth right now. When I had them 3 or 4 feet apart, talking into one, the other one pointing away from me, the audio was just fine regardless of which one I talked into. So as long as you keep these microphones somewhat separated, or only use one microphone at a time, you shouldn't have any of that echoey noises. Alright, I'm finally getting around to trying this out with an Android phone USB port, kind of how it's intended to be used in the product listing a lot of the times. We're going to flip over to video mode here. Go up here to the settings. And in the microphone, it's set to phone mic. You have to change that to a wired microphone. And then after you do that, okay, according to my phone's video recorder, it is recording audio through the wireless microphone. So I'm going to set this guy down and walk away from it. And if you're hearing my voice now, it is because the audio is coming from the wireless microphone and not the phone's built-in microphone. All right. So I took the audio and video clips I recorded and went and listened to them with headphones. And I'm not an audiophile, but I think the audio quality was pretty good. I'd say it was at least as good as the built-in microphone on my various cameras. And the real advantage here is that this can go a lot farther away from the camera and still get that decent audio quality. So, it may not be the most premium audio, but it's certainly acceptable, and it's certainly going to give you better results if your target is farther away from the camera than about 6 or 7 feet. Having a microphone clipped to them is going to give you much better audio than trying to rely on the camera's microphone. So all in all, I was pretty happy with these guys. Couple of gotchas. When you're plugging it into your cell phone, you do need in your video app to say, hey, select this wired microphone, not the cell phone's built-in microphone, so you have to make that change to get the audio from it. Kind of the same thing when you plug it into a computer is that you have to select the audio device that you want to get your audio from. So instead of your computer's built-in microphone, you have to select the USB microphone. Now with the plug here, that worked just flawlessly, plug and play, no software changes on the Sony camera at all. Just plug it in and your Sony camera is suddenly getting the wireless signal. Now with two of these, they're not stereo, so it's not like you have a left and a right mic, and you can't separate people's voices by channel that way, so it mixes the two of these into both channels. If you hold them close to one another and you're talking into them, you get kind of a little bit of an echo because I think the audio is delayed slightly from one to the other. When I had them 3 or 4 feet apart, talking into one, the other one pointing away from me, the audio was just fine regardless of which one I talked into. So as long as you keep these microphones somewhat separated, or only use one microphone at a time, you shouldn't have any of that echoey noises. I did notice when I first started recording on the computer, there was just a little bit of crackle. And I'm not sure if that was some type of noise reduction loop working and locking into the settings for gain it wanted, or if that had something to do with my clothing moving around. It was just at the very beginning and then it went away and I never heard it again after that. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. So all in all, I was pretty happy with these guys. You know, you get the whole setup for, you know, all kinds of things. If you have a device that has a multi-port, you can plug this, you know, microphone plug into the multi-port plug and it will act as a microphone and a microphone headphone jack. You've got 2 charging cables. There's 3 devices to charge, so you can flip them in and out. If you plug this guy in to charge while your phone is plugged into it, it will pass through charging to your phone. I actually had USB, I had rapid charging going through this, so it was able to rapid charge my phone through this device, so that worked out well. They gave you a little monitor earphone. It's, you know, better than not having anything, but if you're doing serious monitoring through this jack here, you're probably going to replace this earphone with your own personal setup.